I feel like a little kid. I'm so excited. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Live with Renee. And today I have with me Alicia McGee Spearman. She is my special guest. Today we are going to be talking about leading on a global stage. I am so excited to have her here with us tonight. So I want to tell you guys just a little bit about her because she is truly boss. Okay, y'all. So she is currently, and this is her 7th year serving in this position, and we met through Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So she is the chairman of our International Leadership Fellows Committee. She recently won the Nellie Quander Award during our North Atlantic Regional Conference. She is currently, she's serving in a dual role, y'all. The first general counsel for, let me make sure I pronounce it right, Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac, you got it.
Quinnipiac University. She's serving as the general counsel and vice president of human resources. Prior to that, she was vice president and chief human resources officer for General Dynamics. And she had like 17,000 people that she was that reported to her. She was over with a $24 million budget. I'm just so impressed with you. I'm over here stuttering because I'm so excited. I can't get myself together. You've also worked for Hubble, Aetna, Children's National Medical Center, and the FBI. You were also named Most Influential Women in Corporate America in 2019 by Savoy Magazine. Look at you. I'm so proud. I'm so impressed. I tell people all the time, people are like, oh, Renee, you're so great. I'm like, you don't know my sorority sisters. If y'all think I'm great, like they are out here doing the thing. And I'm just so proud and just so blessed that you said yes today to come on the show and share your knowledge and help uplift all of us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. You and I have vibed very well. You're a wonderful woman in your own right with lots of accolades. So it's nice to interact and share and, uplift each other.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get right into it because I want all of the spotlight to be on you today. So tell us a little bit. So today we're talking about leading on a global stage. And I think it's really important for women as well as men to see what that looks like for us. We're women of color. How did we get to that platform? What did it take? And you guys, right before we started, I was like, all right, we got 10 minutes. She's like, girl, that's a lifetime. I'm like, 10 minutes is a lifetime? Like, she was like, you know how much I can get done in 10 minutes? And I was like, whoa, okay. Well, share and tell us all your secrets. So tell us a little bit about your career path. What got you to where you are?
Well, I'm a labor and employment attorney by trade. And I have worked for major Fortune 100 companies. And what I've done has been flexible, right? So there was opportunities that arose in HR, human resources, and sometimes labor and employment attorneys switch over to HR. So for Aetna, I did that. I worked in the legal department for a number of years, and then I worked in HR. And that was my first exposure to my client group. I'm like, oh, I kind of like it over here. And I just remained flexible. I went to a manufacturing company, Hubble, was their chief employment counsel. But then the vice president of human resources opened up. It was a level higher than where I was in my legal position. So I applied for that. And that was a great experience where I traveled the world to, India, Mexico, just a lot of different, Switzerland and France, a lot of different places. And that positioned me well. So when the C-suite position at General Dynamics Electric Boat opened up, there had never been a person of color, let alone male or female, just a person of color at all, on the executive floor. And that was in Groton, Connecticut, about an hour from where I lived. And that was an amazing experience. And I thought I would retire from them there. But then during one of my meetings, my current president was doing business with us and met me. And she was like, I want you. And I was like, I'm not leaving here. But she's very persuasive. And sometimes you don't know where your blessings come from. Mm-hmm. And that's only 15 minutes from my house. And so I've been able to make the transition by just being agile, making sure that I'm excellent in the skills that I do, the service that I provide to my clients. My reputation is excellent. Like, I don't know how attorneys get like arrested or they embezzle money because there's just certain lines you shall not cross, right? Mm-hmm. And then people talk about corporate America, but corporate America is where I've been able to hire sorors, hire church members' children. Anytime you can provide some economic empowerment and security, that's how we uplift ourselves as a person and as a people, as a community. And even there, I also know there's a higher being. So I will never do anything that's going to prevent me from getting into heaven. So, I don't let that nonsense about, people don't even come to me with nonsense if it's going to cross an ethical line, because they know that I'm very ethical, and it's been a beautiful thing. So I've had a beautiful career working, really, I've worked in quasi, I worked federal FBI, I've worked in state. So I'm probably one of those few people who've worked in private sector and government sector, as well as I've diversified industries. So I've been in healthcare industry, right? I've been in national defense industry. Now I'm in higher education. But it served me well, because you just get all these different experiences to make you who you are. And when you get to your next employer, you're able to rock and roll and deliver on incredible things for the people in the organization.
That's wonderful. So I love that you said being flexible. I was listening to a podcast day before yesterday, I think it was. And the woman was talking about, she's also like a vice president of an organization. And she was talking about how she was offered this position with a global company, and they wanted her to move to another country. And she said, I talked to my husband, I talked to my kids, and I basically was like, we're packing up and we're moving. And I think that that being flexible part is so key, because so often, and I'm guilty of it, I've turned down 2 positions in my lifetime because they wanted me to relocate. And one, I was pretty young. I had just had my daughter. It didn't even dawn on me that I could have just hired a nanny, like, and we all could have just gone. So I think that for people younger than we are, think about that truly being flexible with your life, because look what it's gotten you. And just listening to that podcast, the same thing with her. Her career just has been incredible. She's traveled the world, she's taken her family with her. And it sounds like that was a really good and strategic move for you as well.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I tell my mentees, do not do mommy logistics, right? Because we'll start, before we even have an offer, we will talk ourselves out of a position. So if you're out there listening and you want to advance in your career, I want you to always talk to the recruiters. I was happy where I was before, right? But she did something that enticed me. I kept saying, well, I need this, I need that. I mean, you can work out deals. So don't do mommy logistics. What's my husband going to say? My significant other's going to say? My children? Until you have an offer, you don't have to figure anything out, right? Because you're worried about moving. Like I told one friend, A, it's only 2 hours away. And B, you probably can work from home a certain amount of days. And that was before the pandemic. So then she got this big job, and it happened just like I said it, right? They paid for her apartment for the days that she's there. So there's lots of things you can negotiate. And I do want to come back later and talk about negotiation, how I want you to negotiate as women for a lot of cool things that you can get. Have not, you just got to ask.
I totally agree with you, because you'd be amazed. I was in a position one time, and I remember the vice president was like, well, I want you to take this role, and how much do you want? And in my head, I was like, I'm gonna tell him something ridiculous. He didn't blink an eye, because when they want you, and they'll make accommodations for you.
Yeah.
So that's a very good point about negotiating. So we'll absolutely get back to negotiating. So tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you feel like you may have immediately faced when you got to the C-suite, and how you overcame those.
Yeah. I mean, well, when I went to General Dynamics Electric Boat, that's our defense for the USA, right? That's our Marines. And so it's very male dominated. Now, I've had engineering clients, tons of times at different companies, but these are nuclear engineers, and nuclear engineers are taught they know everything. They're supposed to know everything, right? But you actually don't know human resources. So I'm not the human resources person who does baby 101, fill out my benefit form. No, I'm the HR business partner that reports to the CEO or the president, that does strategic partnerships. Like, what's your strategic growth plans? Let me help you with the people and the processes to get the organization where it has to go. So I think the first thing was just like, there's lack of women that are there, right? And lack of people of color that at that highest level. Even the next level underneath me, there was barely anyone, and probably almost no one. So I think I just had to, they were kind of saying, you're not even from our neck of the woods. You didn't grow up in our company and get promoted. Like, how are you going to do this? And sometimes you just have to, when you're more seasoned, right? I'm not a newbie attorney or newbie. I've been around for a long time. I just go in and do the job. I'm a people's person. You go on a listening tour. You talk to your team that you're supervising. You talk to the different clients. You know, it was a 24-hour operation. We defend the nation. So I was out in the shipyard in, you know, my steel toe boots, because for me, the power is in the people. If people trust you, they always give you information. And I went to all different shifts, and they saw me in there, this new girl, and I had union negotiations to do. I did the new model for the company. And so it was, and during my interview, I was asked, how are you going to feel being the only one? And honestly, you know, as African-American, I almost laugh, because we're used to being the only one.
Right,
I was
exactly.
kind of like, well, how are you going to feel? Because I'm going to feel fine, because I've been in this position before. So, I mean, that's the honest to God truth. Like, you always find your tribes, right? You find people. And I did a lot with the Women in Defense group, the Black engineers, I did a lot of stuff with. And I just think it was because I knew what I was doing, and they had to respect my product and what I was delivering, that it was okay. But while I was there, and for those who were in position of power, I hired a former colleague that I worked with before, and I knew that they would really appreciate her and like her. And she, you know, acclimated very well. And I think that you got to bring other people in to show them the breadth and depth of what we do as black folks. You know, we know we're like, look at you, right? In our sorority alone, we know how many high profile, superb, excellent people. Then you add the Divine Nine. Then you add people who you went to law school or business school with or undergrad with. So it's sometimes a lack of people seeing you. So.
I agree. So I was going to ask, but it sounds like you didn't have this issue. I've talked to some women, and they said it kind of took them a minute to feel like they truly belonged in that position, because they were the only woman of color, and sometimes often the only woman. So it sounds like, though, you hit the ground running. Like, you didn't have a problem feeling like you belonged, or did you?
Yeah, I didn't, because I know that I could do the job. I've seen a lot of incompetent people in jobs. And that's what I want to tell you. Like, a woman will see a position description. She'll have 7 out of 10 factors and won't apply. A man will have only 3 out of the factors, and he'll apply thinking he's the best thing since sliced bread. So a lot of times, like the mommy logistics, we do it to ourselves. We take ourselves out of the competition beforehand. So yeah, I'm confident because I've had a lot of successes. Not that I haven't had failures, but I've had a lot of successes. So I know my comfort zone. I know what I can deliver. But I still think, in terms of like having someone you could talk to in confidence, I have my own outside board of directors, right? 2 of my best friends aren't lawyers, right? One's an educator and one's in healthcare, but they know me. And so I could talk to them, or I have other lawyers who I talk to. So I'm with like little groups that we trust each other, and we share each other if tripped out stuff happens, and stuff will happen. So, right, as a baby lawyer, I'd be in the bathroom crying, right? Now, you know, my position now, you ain't never going to see me cry at work, right? I may go in the bathroom to woosah, take a deep breath, make sure I'm professional, don't cuss anybody out. But my little latest trick is I have bubbles over my head. So my face is like this, but the bubbles over my head are saying different things, like, that's not a good idea, or you're not that good, or whatever. Because you have to have fun in life. You know, if you know me, I work hard, but I play hard. So you got to have fun in life.
So I want you to repeat, because I want everyone that's listening, or if they hear this on replay, repeat what you said about women and men applying for positions, because they need to hear that again.
Okay, so here it is. You'll see a position description, and you'll say, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. And you're going, oh, I only have 7 out of the 10 factors, and you won't apply. You take yourself out of the competition. A male will literally have 3 and be missing 7, and say, oh, I can do this job. I'll be the best thing since sliced bread. So that's all I'm saying. Please, you know, just take each step at a time. If you need a confidence booster, call some of your girlfriends or your clique or your other guy friends who can boost you up. But definitely apply, because you never know until they meet you. You may be the perfect candidate, and they don't even care about those 3 things you're missing, because that wasn't even that important to the job. They just threw it in the description.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I say that all the time. Just apply. You never know what'll happen, because if that position is meant for you, God's going to see it through. He will absolutely see it through for you. And, you know, sometimes people will, let's just say it may not be that position, but because you applied, you got in front of them, they loved you so much, they'll go out and create another position specifically for you.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. It's like, I love to see, I post internally and externally for both of my positions, right? You're the
Mhm.
internal person. You think you deserve it? Great. But let's see who's out there and compete for it. To me, I
Mhm.
like to see who raises their hand internally. And so even if you're not, for this position, just like you said, I'm like, so-and-so applied, they interviewed good. They weren't ready for this position, but I have this other position in the back of my head. Let me talk to them and let them apply to that position. So you have to sometimes take stretch assignments, right? Take a job that you're not 100% completely sure that you can do all of it, but there'll be people around you, professional groups and training that can help you develop and get that extra skill set. So you gotta like take risk. You can't be risk
Absolutely.
averse. Yeah.
One of my mentors said to me, if someone comes to you because they're looking for you to lead, take the position, just like you said. No matter whether you feel like you have the skill sets or not, there's something that they see in you, so you take the position.
Take the position and they'll support you and they'll make sure
Yep.
you get the help that you need. I agree.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So when you first got to the C-suite, I know oftentimes where, you're trying to figure things out, your position. Can you talk about like any major changes that you felt like you had to make right away? Like talk about some
Mm,
of those things you were able to accomplish.
yeah. I had to evaluate my staff to make
Mhm.
sure they were going to be able to hit the ground and running with me.
Mhm.
And get feedback. So I don't do everything right away. I kind of listen and examine, give people chances, because sometimes it's not that the person can't do what you ask them to do or the role they're in. It's that they haven't been properly trained, or they haven't been given been empowered, because maybe their boss was a micromanager. I'm not a
Mhm.
micromanager. I'm going to trust you to be a professional and do your job. I will give you some tips if you're not doing your job well, or some suggestions when you're assigned a project. So I had to, I had to change up my staff. There was somebody who was excellent. I don't know why she wasn't promoted. I promoted her right on up. There were some people that, had to go ahead and go. And so I think that's the first thing. You have to make sure you have the team in place that's going to help you do the deliverables that you're supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So your whole 10 minutes is a lifetime. I'm stuck on that. So I want to know, share with us your top 3 like best habits, because clearly if 10 minutes is a lifetime, you've got some good organization skills and some habits that you need to share with us.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll answer your question, but I'll tell you why 10 minutes. Like I've been running today, right? We had church
Okay.
today. I had to go get communion in Palm Sunday for my house, my mom. Me and my business partner had to do something on our business because we have a side business that the site's developing. And
Mhm.
then I had Jack and Jill meeting for my team. As a senior, I'm the lead team advisor. And we had a big meeting with the teams. So when I come to you, I'm like, oh, I got 10 more minutes. I'm like, oh, that's a lifetime, because I've been running all day, and 10 minutes just talking about my passion and my life is really pretty easy. But the top 3 things, I'm going to tell you the truth. Number 1 is organizational skills. I could probably get a PhD, a black belt in organizational skills. So I organize my calendar extremely well. And I tell my people everything's on my calendar. So I'm a mom. I have where my kid is. I'm free, but I know where my young lady is in school,
Mhm.
where she has to be. So I'm not worrying about her, right? I know what projects are due, and I back it up on my calendar. I have like block out time to
Mhm.
do work on my projects, because otherwise you'll be in meetings all day.
All day.
So I,
Yep.
I would say my organizational skills and the way that I use my Outlook calendar is like number 1. My second thing is I'm a good communicator.
Mhm.
So I make sure that I know what my boss needs from me, and I make sure that my team knows what I need from them. And you see me at the C-suite now, but trust me, right? I started young, and I've always rolled up my sleeves. Like even in
Mhm.
AKA, right, our sorority, I've been on numbers committees as a
Mhm.
working member because I'm working. So I think that's really gives you what I call street creds. It's like I
Mhm.
can do, HR is vast. It's comp, it's benefit, it's org design, it's recruiting. I can do all of that, right? But now I'm at the top, and I have to make sure that I have a strategic mindset and a strategic view of what I'm doing. So I think the first thing is organizational skills, and then I'm a good communicator.
I'm gonna write these
And
in
I
the
guess
chat.
what's the third, what's the third thing about me? Of how I'm successful.
Mhm.
I think I inspire followership. You have to have like a little inspiration, right?
Mhm.
And I actually look for that when I'm hiring managers. So there can be people who are technically competent, but no one wants to work with them. And no one wants to work with them because they take credit for people's work. They don't say
Mhm.
thank you. I mean, the basic manner of saying thank you, right? When people do a good job, people, I don't understand why managers don't do that. So I think I inspire followership. People want to be on my team. People want to work for me. People want to be on my committee because, we work hard, but we got to have fun too. So,
Yes.
while you're up to 12 o'clock writing that script or whatever, but we're having fun. We're getting to know each other. Like even how you and I vibe, right? It's like I know we've seen each other before, but we just, recently talked to each other.
Right.
And so it's just like, people draw energy from people who are energized. And I think that I inspire followership because we're going to have fun and we're going to produce great results. And that makes anybody feel good when they produce great results.
So that I'm going to pick two things out there that you said that I think are so key. One is you said, I know what my boss wants and I make sure my boss has it. So that is called managing your manager. And I talk to and mentor people all the time. Your boss should never, ever have to ask you for anything. You should know what your boss wants. You should deliver it either before time or on time.
Before
Because
time.
when your boss has to ask you for something, that's like the worst thing in the world. So if you don't know how to manage your manager, get a mentor and have them teach you. Because that is so key, and it's also key to moving up if you aspire to lead or even to be an executive for an organization. So that was number one, and then the second one was about inspiring followership. I had a boss tell me one time, "I don't know what you do to your people, but they will do anything for you. Like they just love you." And I'm like, well, I treat them like people. And like you said, we get a lot done. We have a good time. This is work. Like, I'm not taking any of these people home. I'm going to treat them the way that I want to be treated. I'm going to treat them with respect. And like you said, I would put all of my team up for awards. Like, I wanted everyone to win. And when you have that mentality, they don't just win, you win too. And then the organization wins. So that was very key. I'm glad you said that as one of your top three.
Yep. Do unto others. It's a simple, right? But people just don't
Yes.
do it. Or
It is.
think about the bad bosses you had and
Yes.
why you didn't like them. So when you're in a position of power, don't do those bad things. Don't micromanage. Don't take credit for people's work. Like, you need to do that. And then about the bosses, I had the good fortune of working for Ron Williams, one of the few African-American CEOs. He was the CEO of Aetna. And I learned so much. Like we talk about it, if you see me on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile, so many Aetna people that came under his tutelage have all gone out and just excelled, like presidents, CEOs, C-suites. And he always says, deliver good news early and in person. So obviously not in person, like you can't always be physically there, but pick up the phone, send an email. My boss now is never going to be caught off guard, and the board of trustees is going to come to her and say, hey, I heard this, if I know it. And that's what I tell my team. Things are going to happen, but tell me it. Don't hide it from me. Tell me whatever went wrong so we can figure out how to fix it. But I think that transparency goes to your integrity and your authenticity. And that was just a great lesson from Ron Williams. He had a lot of different wise things that he said that I worked at Aetna like years ago. And I still say some of those things and use those things in my own leadership. So it's important.
Yeah, we had a senior executive vice president. We used to meet with him, one of the roles that I served in. We would meet with him every Friday. But his thing was, you will never get in trouble from me if you are always open, honest, and upfront. And he said, if something is wrong, I need to hear it from you. We meet every single Friday, or you need to pick the phone up. I need to hear it from you, because if I hear it from somebody else first, that's
don't want to be caught off guard.
Right,
don't be caught off guard.
Exactly. And I think, things happen. Everything is not always perfect. And, bad news is what it is. Everything's not going to work out the way you plan. But, that's why we have strategic plans and we have backup plans, and we'll get through it. But the people that need to know. So that was a good point.
You said something earlier too that I want to just harping on. You said, always deliver stuff on time. I tell my team, like, late is just not acceptable. That's just like, I don't even know what late is. Like, that's not even acceptable, because if you're going to be late, you're telling me before the deadline that you're going to be late, and then we're adjusting the deadline. You'll never get penalized for hitting something on the deadline, but you want to impress me, give it to me before the deadline. I'm always about a little bit before, like my team, something's due to the Eastern region. I gave them an earlier deadline. That's how you never meet deadlines. Just back stuff up. But it's
Yep.
all about that organization and
Mhm.
that communication of expectations. And if you're trying to climb up the ladder and you're trying to be impressive, like I give, speeches and lectures and training to our interns, like, put this little phone thing, put it away, right? You know, go into work 10, 15 minutes early, get
Mhm.
up from your desk and go walk over to that cooler and tell Bob that you had a great weekend, that your dog Fluffy, was behaved well and that you like the Yankees. That's what people, don't start telling them about my boyfriend broke up with me, all that
Mhm.
nonsense,
Mhm.
right? But be human and share a little bit about yourself, because once you're excellent and you do excellent work, it's that je ne sais quoi stuff. Like, what can I say about Renee? What can I say about Alicia? Because I want to advocate behind the closed doors for her. And I'm like, oh, she's the best thing. She likes the Yankees? And I know it sounds funny, but it's true. Like, who they
It is.
know, who they trust, who you like. It shouldn't be, may not be fair. But as I tell my young, soon to be college student, life is not always fair. And we know that. Life is not
Yep.
always fair.
It's not. It's absolutely not fair. So earlier you were talking about all these great things that you do. Is it just your organization? Is that how you're able to balance everything that you do, like your home life, your work life, your extracurricular life, your mom life, your volunteer life? Like you do a lot and you look amazing.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I think that you've got to learn to say no. I think it's really important to say no. Like when you can't do everything, because I think sometimes we don't take care of ourselves, like self-care lacks.
Mhm,
And you need
mhm.
that time just to woosah, a time just to chit chat with your girlfriends, right? Time to go on date night with your significant other. But I really think that I don't know. I have a lot of energy. So I do have a high energy level, right? I'm up early in the morning and I'm kind of up late at night. So my downtime probably, like when I'm a little bit tired, is probably like 4 o'clock, PM, right?
Mhm.
But I think it's just like I've already planned, you plan vacations, you plan fun stuff. So, and you have some time for spontaneity. So I just think that I don't take on too much. I'm really cognizant of, like, am I a member of a chapter? And am I an officer in this chapter? When is this duty going to end, a responsibility? And that's really it. Hope it helps.
I love
I
it.
mean,
Oh
I mean,
my
get
gosh,
help. You
I
talk to the
love it.
nanny. You talk to the nanny. I mean, at different stages of your life, like, get people that support you. Can your mother-in-law come in and watch your baby?
Mhm,
Can you work from home 2 days a week, so then you're saving yourself commute, right? Can you cook on a Sunday, a couple meals for the week that's coming through, right? Or can you
mhm.
order in? So there's lots of little stuff, and now everybody's got apps and Google, so you can make your life a little stress free. You can do it.
Yeah, you know what? I do agree with you. I was sitting here just thinking about things that I've done, like, I hate grocery shopping, and I've been using Instacart since before the pandemic, and I'm like,
Mhm.
every time I think about, "Oh, man, I just need one thing. I gotta go to the grocery store. I don't want to." And I'll be like, "Okay, what's the minimum? $35. What can I can figure this out so I don't have to go." But yeah, you're right. Definitely using all the apps and the tools and things that, we have available to us. So you've served in a lot of important roles. What do you think? I want to know the impact you feel like you've made in some of these roles. And you've garnered a lot of recognition. So why do you think people mostly support you? Like what's that driver that's like, I'll do this for her or I'll make this happen for her?
I really think it's just because I'm always the same. Like, you don't see me acting a certain way.
Mhm.
You see me as the same. I've always treated people. I mean, this goes back to my parents, my grandparents, I grew up with my great grandparents. This is just what we do, right? And really, I come from a family. My great grandmother was a homemaker. People always stopped by her house, and she always had a meal for them. And it's not like they had lots of money, but you just help people. So, like, we come from a very helping family. So it's like a joke. If I travel somewhere, my husband will be like, okay, can you not tell the person that they have spinach in their mouth? Can you mind your business and not talk to everybody? Like, we just help people, right? And I think that people know I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you in confidence. Like, I'm excited when somebody else succeeds, right?
Mhm.
Your shine, Renee, doesn't take away from Alicia's shine. A
Right.
lot of us, a lot of us can shine. And so I think that people know my honesty. Obviously, I'm a lawyer, so I keep secrets. I'm HR. I keep confidences. Um, so I think that's probably just it. And then you talk about positions like chairman of the Leadership Fellows Program, right? It's the proof in the pudding. right?
Mhm.
Our last three director members for undergraduate all came through the Leadership Fellows program that this international president and myself, we were in charge of. The current, two of them right now are on the director, Jasmine E. McCoy, right? And Elise Guerrier.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, we're not going to be around forever. You better make sure that our legacies are trained and supported to feel
Mhm.
confident that they can go out here and conquer the world. And I think Madam Supreme said to me, International President said to me before, like the stuff that we share with them, I give them everything. Me and my committee, we give them everything, all the nuggets,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Most of us didn't grow up with our parents in the C-suite, right? So
Right.
once we've learned, why do we hold on to information? I want you to be as successful. Matter of fact, I want you to be more successful. So let me give you all the training and the skills. And that's it. Sometimes an encouraging word goes so far. Again, a thank you. Don't worry about it. I know you can do it. Good luck
Mhm.
in there. I'll wink at you and smile when you're doing your interview. It's all those little things, right? So I think people just see, I think it's somebody funny said, like, I'm always the same and I surround myself with people who are good people. And that's true because anybody who's drama filled, I don't have time for negativity
Yeah.
or drama. And
Mhm.
also this may get on people's nerves, but I'm very positive. So, I will make lemonade out of a lemon where you're still saying it's a lemon. I don't care
Mhm.
about this pandemic. I'm
Mhm.
very upset that people and friends around me have lost husbands and parents and grandparents, but that's not an excuse for us not to carry forward. We had the first virtual leadership fellows program. And just
Mhm.
like we were in person at the end, they were crying about what a mesmerizing experience was, right? So our
Right.
committee had to make it a great virtual experience, right? We have another one coming up. So I'm not, as the kids say, I'm not taking the L for the pandemic. I'm not cheating my Jack and Jill kids out of an experience because we're in the pandemic. We are still going to execute, perform, and have amazing programs because there's amazing people that will give their time to help youth and care about people. So I mean that optimistic attitude, I'm sure people can get on people's nerves because like how can you? There's heavy things. Yeah, I may get sad if everybody's calling me and there's sad things, but I think it's the executive like we got to be agile. We got to
Mhm.
pivot. Like, how
Mhm.
are we going to make the best out of this for everybody else's experience? As a leader, you have to step up. I can't be crying. I can't lose it, right? Then everybody else is going to feel sad. I was entrusted to be the leadership development chair. And some of you all may know this name. Wilma Holmes Tootle was my
Mhm.
co-chair for
I
the
love
Links
her too.
Incorporated the Eastern area. And our Eastern area director is Dr. Shawana Tucker Sims. And she entrusted us to do a conference. So, but then we had to pivot. It ended up being virtual. Well, virtual means more people can attend. It was 800 plus people. There were some technology issues, but you just roll with it, right? So
Mhm.
I was getting all these texts like, you were so calm and you're talking. Like, why would you talk nasty to somebody because a mistake happened or something with tech? Things are going to happen in life. And if you don't know that something's going to happen, you have to be able to roll with it. So
Yes.
I think that my calmness and like in an emergency, like literally someone's dying around me, I will be the calmest one, right? I'll cry afterwards, but I will
Mhm.
do that CPR. I will tell people to calm down. Like that's kind of the leader that I'm going to take charge. And unfortunately, we've been in situations where we had that very trying situations where we had to pull together all the presidents of our chapters. Incident happened. Like, all the presidents come together. Let's do X, Y, Z. Get to the hospital. And so I'm calm. I don't know where I get that from or whatever, but I don't know.
I think you're right what you said because, oftentimes having an optimistic attitude can really bring about greatness in times of despair. If you just sit down and you look at, what are the good things that could possibly come out of this? I mean, look at AKA, look at what we've done with, virtual conferences and organizations have pivoted where people are working home and productivity is doubling because we're home, we're not running the streets and doing all these other things. We're not commuting. We don't have to take time to, instead of maybe a 2-hour time frame to get up, get dressed, get to work. Now it's get up, get dressed, 30 minutes. That other hour and a half, people are using that time and they're working. They're getting
Yeah.
stuff done. So I think that that optimism it's contagious too. Like your personality is very contagious.
Well, I think people trust me. You can't just say, let's say the sky's not going to fall if the sky's really falling, right?
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
it's that like strategic mindset that I have. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, how can we still deliver dealing with what we're dealing with? And so the word is I'm very like innovative and creative. That's one of my strengths. I probably should have put it as one of my top 3, but definitely, what the usual is. The usual is okay. It's good to know your history, but what can you do different to excite people? And I get a lot of fun out of doing something different or taking it to the next level. So if you're a president and the next president comes behind you, I'm sitting there like, oh, I can't wait to see what she does better than me, right? Not like I hope she doesn't succeed, right? That's not how we should be. We should be like, oh,
Absolutely.
let me support her to the next thing. It's exciting doing something new, right? We just saw that Dr. Glenda Glover, president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, came out with a movie. How exciting was it to learn about all of our founders and everything that went on? And I was especially proud because I saw my leadership fellows in there and some pictures from our conference. But I mean, our founders and incorporators, you talk about boss babes, right? There were some boss babes.
They were.
And to share that vision of what really has happened and how we've grown, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, I absolutely share your sentiment about leaving a position better than it was. Because so oftentimes, people don't want to see other people do well. And, just I have the same philosophy that you have. If I know it, I'm going to share it. I'm going to teach everyone. I'm also very good at, I like to document everything and passing things along. And because I want everyone to be great. I want everyone to, to excel and to succeed. And I just love that all these nuggets that you share with us. Guys, if you're on here, feel free to ask some questions. I could talk to you all night. I'm just so mesmerized and amazed. I'm like, I'm not an attorney, but I want to go work for her.
Well, I want everybody to go to law school because you can have a lot of variety of things you can do as a lawyer, but you're an entrepreneur too. Like even that, like who am I to be an entrepreneur, right? But I had this idea. I have a really good friend, and we came through the links together, and then I brought her into the sorority, and boom, now we're the owners of Farm Store. So it's out of Florida, been around since 1950s, and we bought the area rights to sell all the farm stores that can have in Connecticut. So we just broke ground. Me and her both went to the site. You got the construction sites out there. We're building our store. So it's something new. It's never even been here in Connecticut. And now they're starting it in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. It's in Philly now. So people who are in Philly, it's the old Swiss farm stores. It's going to be farm stores. And I'm just excited because that's all about our ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Creating wealth in our African-American brown communities. And that's what we're trying to do. And I just can't wait to that because this is going to be like a legacy of wealth. You own one, you buy one, so that's what we're trying to get ready for that too. So, and there's a lot of things to be excited about. I'm totally excited about that.
Oh, I'm excited for you. When you first shared it with me, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like you need to duplicate that everywhere, like every city, every state, absolutely duplicate that. Oh, I'm so excited. So is there anything, if you, any additional advice you would give someone, especially the young people or someone who is looking to get into the C-suite?
Yeah, I would. I think that, you have to have excellent skills. One thing that I always go to is this thing called Corporate Counsel Women of Color. Even when I was not in my legal roles, I still went. And I'll tell you why. Because those are the baddest women I've ever seen in my life. That's really why.
Corporate Counsel Women of Color?
Right.
I'm going to put that in the chat. Okay.
And I forgot that saying. What is it? Iron sharpens iron. Right. So I went there. Never forget, I heard this woman speak. She was the labor and employment attorney for Domino's Pizza. I was like, I have never seen an attorney that bad. So I went up to her. I'm like, can you please be my mentor? She's like, no, I have a lot of mentees. I'm like, no, you've got to be my mentor. And then like now we're like, we vacation together. We're just friends, right? And I do the same thing. I'm busy. I'm like, can't take any more mentees. And my only requirement for my mentees is pay it forward. Like if I hear you're not helping anybody, and in the legal world, Black people, it's a small world. We will cut you off, right? So just be a good person and help pull somebody else up. But I think that when you try to negotiate for professional development fund, so you can pay for these conferences, your airfare, your registration, and if your job doesn't give it to you, invest in yourself. That's like the best conference. So like in the sorority, I mean, there's other organizations too, right? But in the sorority, there's a whole group of us lawyers, and we see each other there. So we live, one's in California, one's in Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York, New Jersey, but we see each other there, right? So, and we see a whole bunch of other people. But I mean, the learning and the seminars and the webinars you get, it is just top notch. So that's one thing. Invest in yourself. and take the time to get training. And I'll tell you something else. If someone says, I want to give you a coach, instead of being like, oh, they want to give me a coach, they think I'm bad. Really? You should be like thanking God, like, oh, they're going to
Yes.
invest in me. It's an investment to pay a professional coach. And we have sorority sisters who are professional coach. Look up Medina Jet from Jet Speaks. Look up, Dr. Dorothy Buchanan Wilson. She has her, coaching business. Janice Saunders, another soror, has a coaching business. I mean, look these people up, right? Somebody just called me. I referred them. A coach will help you in a confidential way, figure out there's always strengths, but there's always opportunities.
Yes.
And you don't want to, you want to keep doing the strengths, but you want to figure out where you have opportunities. Okay, what's one of my opportunities? What's one of my weaknesses? I speak too fast. And right now I'm intentionally slowing down, which I'm sure the audience is saying, thank God, right? But when I'm in the boardroom or with trustees giving a presentation, or when I used to be in the courtroom litigating, right? I'm barred in 4 states and the Supreme Court. I know when to slow down so the jury can understand my argument so I can win my case, right? But you shouldn't put blinders on and hide away from your weaknesses. If you tend to be late, you may want to work on that and get to meetings early. Don't have that reputation about always coming late. Another thing, what can you help young people? I mean, you may want to go and wear those really nice pair of shoes in the club, but those club shoes aren't work appropriate. So you have to look the part. People don't want to hear that. But until you get through that door and establish some credibility, you better look the part. And yeah, you may be working some long hours. It may not be a 9 to 5, right? So you got to put the time in. And then I was, coming from Connecticut. I moved to DC. I joined GWAC, Greater Washington Area Chapter of the Black Women's Bar Association. Little girl from Connecticut. I come there, me and Valerie Evans Harrell on the community service team in Southeast DC. We're in Southeast DC tutoring kids and all this stuff. And I rose up to be president, and it was an election. It wasn't like I was the only one running. I was running against somebody, and I won that election, which was a huge, coup for me, right? But I had done the work, right? And to this day, can you believe a couple of my girls who were like in elementary school then in Southeast DC, they're AKAs. People are always watching you. And when I see this girl, I can't, I'm getting even goosebumps now because it's so emotional about it, that there's so many different circumstances people can come from life, but you can actually encourage them and lift them up. And to have a couple of them be sorors right now and call you because they remember that you were AKA, right? Yes. And that's just, I mean, that there's nothing better than that. So that's just like the helping people, helping community. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than that. So I would just say, be excellent in what you do. If you get a coach and get some coaching opportunities, do that. Do some professional development. I mean, when you're young is when you can join all these groups, NAACP, right? I mean, there's just, I'm not going to start naming them all. There's just so many, groups you can join. When you join groups, you learn skills. You learn to do your committee work, right? You learn that somebody's going to ask you to be an officer, a chairman, but it's by actually doing the work and being, kind of kind and all the stuff we talked about. So.
And you're networking, you're building relationships. I mean, you never know who you might meet that's going to help you get to that next level. So we have a question over here. Felita asks, what is your framing when you are presented with an unhealthy workspace, when you were waiting for the Lord's transition?
I think that prayer, first of all, start with prayer. And also, okay, that's the thing. I think you could also, you should take deep breaths. Depending on the unhealthy workspace, I mean, can you go to HR, right? So it depends on where you are. I get it. I'm an HR. My people know we're neutral. We're not pro-manager. We're not pro-employee. We're like, listen to the facts. It's a fair investigation, and the chips fly where they may. If you don't have that kind of HR thing, you got to do something that's going to calm you down, like prayer, church, go work out, do yoga, meditate. But is your resume up to date? Is your LinkedIn profile up to date? And please, for those who are listening, I really, LinkedIn is not Facebook. Please take all y'all's Facebook posts on LinkedIn. So people, see, the thing is, people won't tell you. I will actually tell my mentees, right? And when people don't tell you, you think you're great, that doesn't mean you're great. They just don't care enough about you to tell you that your posts on LinkedIn are inappropriate, right? And they just won't ask you to apply for a job, right? Or when they're interviewing people and they pull all these LinkedIn posts up, they're not moving you to the next round because your stuff is inappropriate on the professional round. So, I mean, that's what I would do. I would get my resume done, make sure it looks well, reads well. I can read it. I don't put my glasses on. I would make sure my LinkedIn profile is up, and I would start talking like, hi, I'm interested. I'm thinking about, trying something else, a new arena. So you have to talk. Like, we're so closed mouthed.
Yeah.
We don't want to share people in our business, right? You're not gonna grow. Let your people want to help you, right? So, hey, I'm interested in moving on. I got somebody who saw me from a Links conference. I'm sending her every day all the people who are trying to get me to move jobs, stuff to her, because we're like in the same field, and she's gonna get her next promotion. I'm sure of it, right? She's not an AKA, but she's an African American female, right? I'm gonna help people. That's what we got to do. So hang in there, prayer. And guess what? Sometimes that unhealthy workspace, if the person's being a jerk to more than just you, that person will be gone before you. You'll outlast that person. So take some deep breaths. I've seen that happen over and over and over again.
Yep.
But come on with the question. I like questions. Come on with the question.
There was you said, I absolutely agree. You should tell people your goals. Like, I love it when people say, oh, I want to be the president, or I want to, serve in this executive position, because not everyone wants to do it. And so when they're looking for people to fill those positions, if you've been saying, hey, this is something that I want to do, the current person or someone, in a higher position may say, hey, this person is interested in doing this. Let's bring them in. Let's, coach them. Let's teach them. Let's train them so that we can bring them along with us. Oh, there's Wilma now. She's online. Wilma Toodle.
She is?
Yes, she's there. She just said, hey, Wilma. She said individuals should also monitor their Facebook posts monitor their Facebook posts for appropriateness. Totally agree. Absolutely agree.
Totally agree as well.
Yeah. I think that social media, it's wonderful. And I think it's okay to not always have a filter, but we do have to filter some things, and not everything is meant for social media. And as I tell, young children, this stuff that we post on social media doesn't go away. Even though you hit delete, it's not deleted. It is not deleted, and it can come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
And yesterday with Gold Grinders, we had our Say No to Drugs and Alcohol conference, and we were talking about how doing certain things can prevent you from getting the positions that you want, especially if you're looking for a position that requires a high level security clearance or a poly. They dig so deep, you would not believe how deep they go into your history, including your social media. And so many people miss out on opportunities because of something silly like social media.
Yeah, I mean, I had top secret security clearance for the FBI, and I had secret security clearance. And I tell people all the time, you just don't know when you're going to have to go through one of those background checks, right? And Wilma's so right. Like, sometimes people just every day, multiple times a day on Facebook, and people may not say anything to you, but they're talking behind your scenes. Like, why are you on Facebook so much every day? And taking pictures if you're dressed inappropriately. So you gotta, worry about your brand. And those arguments on Facebook. I'm not saying a name, but I'm kind of trying to slam somebody. That's a little immature, and people see through that as well. So just think about that. I agree.
Dr. Roz asked, how do you handle when someone holds your goals against you and they get in the room and speak against you by saying things such as, you're too ambitious?
Interesting.
I have an answer, but I'm going to let you respond.
You want to go first? You can go first.
Nope.
Okay. I mean, I think that that's that person's insecurity, quite honestly, right? Yeah. And I think that there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. Thank goodness that Kamala Harris was ambitious, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So why is it okay for men to be ambitious and women not to be ambitious, right? And the bottom line is, if you're ambitious and you don't have anything to back it up with, you're not going to get it, right? So I think that, I mean, I'm a big believer in karma, and God doesn't like ugly, and what's for you is for you. So even when people are trying to do things to you, that, when you're good people, other people are going to come and tell you. You're going to find out anyway, right? And so I think that you just have to carry yourself in a professional manner and make your case about why you're qualified for the job or why you want to do this. And I do think that if you're never helping anybody else or pulling anybody else up, I do think that's something that is probably a weakness that people can work on, right? Because me being ambitious, if you want to use that word, or people being ambitious, you can bring other ambitious people along. That's like a great thing, right? Just make your
Mm-hmm.
team stronger, make your organization stronger.
Yep, absolutely. So my response is really it's not as I don't want to say maybe as kind, but it's okay to tell people, mind the business that pays you. Like, I'm over here trying to do big things. Let me be in my space and you be in your space. What's the saying? The people that do, like, leave them alone and to let them do the things that they do, because all you're going to do is sit there and watch. So just sit and watch me be great. It's going to be all right. You'll be okay. We'll get through it together.
I mean, that's the whole thing we talk about, negative sneak. You don't go from one employer talking bad about another employer.
Right.
Like I keep saying, they may not say it to you, but behind their back, people are putting away that person's negative, that person's a backstabber, and you won't get called on for positions,
Yep.
So
And people won't trust you. You and Dr. Ross also put a comment in there about trust. Like, you have to build trust among people. They may not be your people or your tribe, but even those people that you work with, like, they have to be able to trust you. And if you're going around, like you said, talking bad about people, they know it goes in the back of their head. Okay, never going to talk to her about this or never going to say this to him.
right.
And you also, like you said, you won't get the positions that you really want to get in life.
Right. I'm laughing now because I just hit the little button. Now I see where the comments are.
Oh, you see the comments? Okay.
I'm not gonna put on my glasses. I'm gonna see these comments. What? I gotta put on these comments now. Wow. All right.
Somebody
Ivy saying
said,
no is my favorite. This is great.
I like what Miranda said. She said, "Tell them God didn't make a conference call for your blessings."
That's a good one. Oh my
That is
gosh.
a
Look at all you
great
guys.
one.
That is a good one.
That is absolutely a good one.
I could not even see these comments until right now. This is hysterical. Okay.
I know. I can't believe it's been almost an hour. I could like talk to you all night. So guys, if you guys have any more questions, please put them in the chat because we could really be here all night. We've got like 9 minutes.
Well, while they do that, I just want to say, don't be afraid to reach out. How I reached out to that mentor. I love her to death, Edwina Divins. And I was just so in awe by her. And I've learned so much from her, right? Reach out. And if someone says, I'm really busy, you can reach out again, right? So I have a couple little groups, like a lot of us who are new African-American general counsels, we're in a little, what do we have? That's that WhatsApp, right?
Yes.
And then I'm in me with other people, right? So I have what we call my own personal board of directors. My mom was always like, how did you know to negotiate for that? How did you know to ask for that? Because a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Yep.
And as for those who came through, pledging or initiation, big sisters may say no sometimes, but they may say yes. But if you don't ask, it's always a no. So I'm never afraid to ask. And as I was just coaching someone through an offer they have, it's always the way that you ask. I'm great. I should get the raise. Bob got the raise. I should get it. Well, that's not going to work. What you should say is, I looked at the market for this job and looked at what I've done for the company, and I've saved the company $200,000, or I've produced X, Y, and Z on time, on budget. That's how you say it, right? Or I'm getting ready to relocate. I don't mind relocating for you all, but I'm not going to get paid my bonus here. Can you make up for the bonus? I mean, please negotiate. I mean, literally at my college, I just got one of my students to negotiate. I'm like, listen, it's a $3 per hour difference. I'm like, I need you to ask, and let's practice, let's role play, because this other internship that you don't want is paying the bigger money, and the internship that you do want is paying less. Ask them. They want you ask. If they say no, it's no. But if you could just do that for me, you all, if you could just ask and stick up for yourself, it's a win-win. If they say no, okay. But if they say yes, it's a big win. So please negotiate, because literally I'm behind the desk as HR like, I don't know if we hired the right person. They didn't even ask for nothing. They didn't even negotiate more vacation time. They didn't even negotiate, professional development fee. I'm like, do I have the right person in this role? So
see, that is so critical. Yes. Bring those nuggets, girl. Because people would think I was crazy. I'm like, no, I'm asking. I want this. I want this. I want this. And they're like, well, are they going to give that to you? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to ask. And I wanted to add that no is not forever. No could be not right now. So you can go back and ask again for more. So you may get the job, you may have settled on something, but in 6 months, if you feel like, hey, look, I've come in here, I've saved you guys, millions of dollars, I've created these efficiencies, I've upgraded these processes, these tools, these technologies, I want a raise.
Yeah. And guess what? If they don't say yes, Somebody didn't say yes to me. I gave
Mhm.
them 3 times, did a PowerPoint, came
Mhm.
again verbally, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna have to leave because now I feel disrespected." And my
Yes.
husband was like, "You got a big office, your team loves you. I can come and go as I want. There was no I could take as much vacation time as I want." And it was a dual role, right, to the
Mhm.
president and then also to the head of HR. And I was just like, I gotta believe in myself. And one of my, Caucasian male, one of my good friends, he says, we always talk about we make good money. He's like, but you don't even know the money you leave on the table because there's somebody out there who even wants what you have to offer. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that was the best career move. I'm glad he insulted me. And
Yes.
what I'm saying is, you got to know, no, you can't be cocky and not really know. Like I
Right.
knew out of the 4 VPs of HR that I was the highest performing because all his
Mhm.
direct told me, right? And so I knew that he should have given me that raise and he didn't want to give it to me to make me more competitive with his favorite for when he left to get his position. So I had to bounce, and that's the best thing I did. So do not be afraid to bounce and leave because
Absolutely.
that I just can't tell you how many blessings that quadrupled me past me leaving there. A very comfortable position with people who I loved and liked.
Mhm.
But you got to do it. You got to stick up for yourself.
Yep, and I think I always recommend too, kind of always be looking because you know what the market is paying people, and you also have that out. Like you said, you felt disrespected. Like, hey, here I am doing all this work. I can show you better than I can tell you.
Hmm.
So I'm going to
Hmm.
sit my resignation on the table,
Yeah.
and I'll go where someone appreciates me. So Maria James said, "Oh, she said I just did this." It was another question too. It takes practice. You should I would have left 13K on the table. It was a new process for me, but I'm starting to learn and how to properly ask. Good.
And
Dr.
I'm
Ross
glad
says,
you properly asked because I
yes,
think you. Oh, okay. I see that question from Roz too. Properly ask, and I would tell people
I'll go back to that one, then we'll
you
go
have
back.
to have soft skills, right? A
Mhm.
lot of lawyers don't have soft skills. And the labor and employment lawyers, we got the soft skills, but in general, practice the soft skills. You can be a PhD wizard. You can be a mathematician wizard. But if you just come in there and you act nasty, or you just say because I know, no, give them the proof, right? I tell people all the time when you have the opportunity to write your performance reviews. I wrote my
Right
performance review
on.
one time. My boss said, "Gee, I feel like you're going to run for a senator of the United States." And in my head,
Right.
I'm laughing because I'm writing this so we can print it off. So when I get ready to apply for my next job, no, you can't check my references until I get an offer. But here's my performance review that my boss signed, right? Take that opportunity. All right. So to Roz's question, the difference between a mentor and a sponsor.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
there is the difference. There's a big
Listen,
difference.
y'all, if you ever get a sponsor, just
Mhm.
count your blessings, and I'll tell you why. A mentor's going to coach you and say, do
Yes.
this, do that, right? A sponsor has the lawnmower, is mowing the grass, and parting the way like the Red Sea for you just to come on down. The
Yep.
sponsor is in that C suite with me, right?
Mhm.
And we're saying, oh, you talked about John and Bob. Well, I want to talk about Rakisha and I want to talk about JoJo. And let me tell you about JoJo and Rakisha. And I'm up there advocating for you. And they're like, oh, what? And I'm like, oh, a special project, so and so can lead the project. So we're already doing that, or I'm already advocating that. You know, when I looked at something, she's not paid enough. I don't understand the pay hierarchy. She's underpaid for her team. That's what a sponsor does. Knocks down
Yes.
all those blocks for you, and all you
Yes.
need to do is be excellent. So it's hard to get a sponsor. I really thought maybe had one, but it's hard to get one. But and it doesn't have to look like us, right?
Yep.
It can look like
Doesn't have to look like us.
it could be internal to your organization or external to
Mhm.
your organization, right? So think about that.
Yep, we talk about this when I talk about succession planning at the executive level and what that looks like. And you absolutely want to build those relationships to have a sponsor because they're the person that is advocating for your behalf when you are not in the room, like you
Yeah,
just said. So
yeah.
yes, great, great, great question, Roz. Thank you for bringing that one up.
And I just want to say it's funny after the North Atlantic Regional Conference where I was, so honored and humbled to receive the Nellie Mae Quander Award. A lot of chapters started calling me, right? Because that's what I do. I do the leadership development program for undergraduates. And then in
Mhm.
my job, obviously I'm in C-suite, I'm in HR. And it's been like just wonderful going to these officer trainings, these officer retreats, officer and committee chairs, and just we have to succession plan. And that's an important thing that people forget about.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm done.
Yes.
Well, you don't want
Yes.
your chapter, your organization just to fall apart because you're done.
Exactly.
Is the next person ready? Are you mentoring somebody? So there's just so much that we can just do as a people in a community. I just frankly find it exciting.
Yes, and it's such a, like you just said, succession planning is sometimes one of those things that some organizations don't really think about as much as they should. Because like
Yeah.
you said, what happens, and especially for, AKA, we transition out of positions 2 to 4 years. So you should have good processes in place where people can jump right in and pick up where you left off. And really it's pick up and elevate to get to that next level from what you built on. So I feel like, it's like building blocks for us. When you're looking at being in a leadership position, how do you continue to elevate and build people up? So
Yeah, and
yes,
bring people along.
absolutely.
Like, not
Yes.
everybody's been a committee chair, not everybody's been an officer. So talk to
Mhm.
them, pull them aside, tell them what works. Like when I went to my first, Carolyn House Stewart appointed me to the standards committee. I went to my first mass committee. I didn't know what to expect. Right? Somebody mentored me and told me, like, this is the deal. This is what you do. You show up at this time and all this kind of stuff. And so that's what you do. I pass that stuff forward all the time. So it's a lot of opportunity for us.
It is. It absolutely is. So we are at the 8 o'clock hour. Oh my gosh, time went by so fast. I feel like we've only been here for 10 minutes.
See what you can get done in 10 minutes, Renee. 10 minutes.
Right.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I want to just keep you here all night, but I know that you have things to do, and I'm really appreciative and thankful for you coming on to share all of these golden nuggets with us. So hopefully people will go back, they'll listen to this again, they'll have pen and paper and they'll write down these things and they'll implement them into their lives. If there are any last minute questions, pop them in the chat real quick before we close out. Thank you, Roz. She said, great session, ladies.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you,
I see
thank you,
some of
thank
the,
you.
and Renee,
Yes,
thank you for having me. You're a wonderful spirit. You do amazing things, and it's been nice to see people on your show.
thank
That you're
you.
doing this for people. We have to share. Sharing is
Yes,
caring.
it absolutely is. It is. Well, thank you guys so much. We will see you again next week. Thank you again, Sora Alicia. I really appreciate you coming on, and everyone is loving you as much as I love you as well. Oh, wait, there's a good comment up here that I
Oh
missed.
Lord, there's some questions on here.
No, it was just a comment. It said, phenomenal woman.
Oh,
Alicia is purposeful, passionate. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough.
thank
And
you, everyone. Thank you, Renee, for doing this.
yes, you are so welcome. And I will see everyone next week. We've got 2 more lives left before we end season 2. And then I'm going to start working on building what season 3 will look like. So thank you guys for being there with me and on this wonderful journey, because I love sharing and just sharing all the information that I can. So, oh, wait, what did she say? I registered for
I
my
like
first
that.
conference. Oh, awesome.
All right,
Very good,
Rosalind Rice Harris.
Rosalind.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, good job, good job. People tease me all the time because I'm like always taking a class. And this semester I signed up for I didn't even realize I signed up for 5 different classes at different places. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna be crazy.
You can zoom in, I guess, for
Right.
those, right?
Yes. Yeah. And some are self-paced, which is good because I was like, okay, I need that. And one certification program I'm doing, it's a total of 28 hours. And I'm like, I can knock that out in 2 days. So it's like you said, that whole planning thing. But all right, guys, we'll be talking here till 10 o'clock. So thank you all. Enjoy your Sunday. And I will see you next Sunday, 7 p.m. Bye.
Bye.